Hi, I thought we'd do a really quick video today which just talks about what befriending looks like when you know somebody with an eating disorder and you desperately want to help, but sometimes you just want to wring that person's neck because they're just so frustrating. So it's certainly true that it can be a challenge to be the cheerleader or supporter of somebody that's going through an eating disorder. But I just want to navigate you through a few things that I think can be really helpful if you're trying to keep that person on track at whatever stage in recovery they are. So the first thing to say is eating disorders and living with a mental health condition like that can be a little bit like where somebody has perhaps been grieving, and initially people will be very supportive and they will pop over with the baked lasagna and the cake, and they'll send the cards and the flowers and they'll say all the nice things. And then maybe a week, maybe two, maybe a little bit more after that, there's an expectation of people bucking their ideas up, or just that actually it becomes a little bit more difficult to talk about. And perhaps they'll cross to the other side of the street rather than have to converse about it. So the one thing you can do as a friend to say that communication is not off limits, and you're going to have some repetitive conversations, and you are going to stay very mindful of the fact that the moods are going to go up, the moods are going to go down. It's not linear. Sometimes you will be frustrated, but you're going to be there and you're going to accept it. And you're going to know that you can't always fix it. That's one of the biggest things that I think people battle with when they're a friend of somebody with an eating disorder. But actually, it's not your job to fix the eating disorder. It's just in the guise of being a friend, it's just your job to try and hopefully make that journey a little bit better. So let's go back to a couple of things we mentioned about popping over when somebody's grieving. Is it appropriate to take over a lasagna? Is food off limits? That's a question I get asked a lot. Is it really incorrect? Is it inappropriate to offer someone some food when actually they're battling through recovery of an eating disorder? No, actually, not at all. Nutritional rehabilitation is about having to restore through eating. Of course, you're not going to want to do it in a way that feels less than diplomatic and is going to be challenging. So you might want to have a conversation with that person about saying, I was going to do some cooking, and I was thinking I'm batch baking, so is there anything in particular that I could bring for you and that we could share together? What a lovely gesture, because actually you're taking the stress and the pressure off about cooking for that person. And there you are, baking or cooking some love into something really thoughtful. Shared dining is always going to be a useful thing for you as a friend to do. Shared dining or shared cooking together. It's going to be something that will help and make that person realise that you get them, that you're trying to do something that you know will help restore their body and mind, but that you also know is really, really challenging for them. And aside from that, plenty of other things that you could do. So keep reminding yourself, what is it that person that I love, adore, really good friends with, what else is it that they like in life? What else is it they appreciate? Try to remember it's not just about food. It's about restoring reasons to be happy in life, to see a purpose, to see greater need, to have that recovered, healthy, more capable and energetic body. So if you know that person loves a walk or loves a visit to a gallery or has a good giggle at some comedy, book some tickets, organise a trip. Find a way of infiltrating that person's life again at a stage when actually they may be really battling with the eating disorder dialogue and thinking, do you know what, I'll just stay in my house again. Find a way of beating that. Find a way of getting yourself between the relationship they have with their eating disorder and the relationship they have with you. Other really simple gestures are just doing something as easy as saying, do you know what, I'm going to send them a letter, I'm going to send them a note, I'm going to send them a card. I'm just going to let them know in a few short words how well I think they're doing. Those sorts of things are just small validations. It's exactly why we set up the gift boxes of Wednesday's Child, because when people are going through a mental health issue like an eating disorder, you can spend so long thinking, I'm failing because I'm not recovering quick enough, or I'm failing because this curse of anorexia or bulimia is still challenging me so much. Actually, our wellbeing boxes were designed around the idea of saying, keep going, keep going, keep reminding yourself you are worth more, and that you know what, you are not your eating disorder alone. So if you are the friend, contribute to those sorts of things too, those other things that just remind that person that they are so worthwhile. You might go and do some volunteering together. You might book a short break together. I know that can be really challenging. I can understand that as a friend of somebody who's going through an eating disorder, you might just think, do you know what, this is darn difficult. This is not like booking a trip or an experience or a holiday or even a meal out with somebody that doesn't have an eating disorder. You're right, it is more difficult, it is more challenging. But if you love that person and you care for them, isn't it worth it? Just think how great you'll feel that you're playing a part in that person's recovery. It's just something small, something as small as a gesture that you could do that helps that person stay on the pathway. Good luck with that. I'd love to hear what you come up with and what your ideas are for helping somebody stay in recovery.